Once upon a tawny spring, in a far-off land, there lived a king so noble, wise, and bold, but also weather-bent and old. A braver heart had ne'er there been, in any land, now or then. A hand more worthy or more right, to rule had no man then in sight. But as with flame of lantern gold, there loomed a shadow, sick and cold. The good king's duke, whose heart was stone, wished to call their lands his alone, and so with cruel vice and wicked spite, he did douse that good king's light. Then with wicked mind he worked to set a loathsome weight upon his betters' net. For then Duke Wroth himself begun to gray, and in his madness he thought to stay the hands of fate from off his thread, and bar the reaper from his bed. But how to do this, many had thought, and with ambitious light he sought the answer to the eldest riddle of how to prolong life eternal. With books and magics hence forgot, the Duke did pry at nature's lock. With might and main he struggled hence, to writhe his spirit through the fence. But not one clue, nor whisper of plunder, was there for the schemer to discover. For no truth doth the light impart unto so very dark a heart. Not 'twixt old pages could he divine, nor ghostly lights, nor pillaged shrine, reveal to him that which he craved. His heart grew desperate and depraved. To the dark gods and their domain did then he turn for answers twain. Where does the secret lay in spite, and why can I not spy it from the light? From there within that infernal veil did he receive an ancient tale. In shadow your game doth lie, quoth the nightmare speaker Mordecai. In the demon's tongue did they converse, and down an evil path traverse. In a distant land your prize doth lie, quoth the foul spirit Mordecai. O'er land and sea there hides a crystal spring, whose wintry heart, an ancient thing, can forge your majesty a throne, can ensure you rule alone. But beware, your majesty, a secret yet have I to reveal. The ancient yarn is already spun, there can be only one. What mean you by this? Flamed the dead man, sorcerer king. What right have you to tell I, whom I may or may not bring? I tell you truth, old king, whose reign was long, whose power's now all but gone. I tell you that you've been made a clown, the jewels missing from your crown. Speak plain, or speak no more, the wicked old king did roar. Tell me where is this jester's house, that I may crush him like a mouse. The demon's haughty laugh, the king's old heart set aflame. Think you so mighty? Very well, I shall tell you his name. He is called Zakril Dothus, the sword with 2 blades. He has lived 4,000 years, 3 weeks and 2 days. The old king swore an oath that day. No, this shall not be. I have fought too long for my throne. No man shall outlive me. But the old man still was clever, his grey beard not just for show. An ancient arm holds much strength, and many tricks must he know. But a heart worn by time still must bleed, for how else could its bearer bear to steed all the endless ages of the earth, from dust to ash, cradle to hearth? And then it struck him, that old villain had an epiphany. I'll make him beg for death, then I'll grant him one mercy. But to rend an immortal heart in two, to make it yield, to bend, to break, no simple treat or guile would do, a heavenly boon it would take. A woman shall be his downfall, quoth the king in cruelest ardor. She must be of wit to enthrall, a beauty of surpassing splendor. But where to find such a soul? Who could mint a diamond from coal? Who could wed pure rock to immortal gem? No fleeting damsel, no harlot, witch or femme. Then a hoof, a horn, a white rose on thorny stem. A unicorn, cried the king. No mortal hand may bridle them, they are just the thing. So quoth he hence that night. Send a marker round the land. Whomsoever slays a beast of white, in legend shall he stand. And thus was done upon the morrow. What followed next was sorrow, for each and every good man thence took up his bow and sword and leapt the fence. Into the lands the wild woods were dwelt, the unicorns with their fair white pelts. There they thrived in innocent leisure, and there they died for the dark king's pleasure. All but one, saved by he by whose own dark hand had she known the loss of her family, kin, and homeland. "Fly now, fly away," the old demon lied. "Far north to a house where aid will you find." He then transformed her into a maiden, an ancient spell, an old wizard's trick. "Now you'll not be preyed on, now go, and be quick." So she fled, on foot, not on hoof, for fear, for flight from treachery, of which there was now no proof. Far north she scried, after many a mile, a goodly cabin whose sight fetched a smile. Relief, thought her, a respite from this thirst and hunger. Now a unicorn must not eat, for both fear and for dread that as mortal man she should become, should she partake of his lowly bread. But ne'er a thought spared she for the perils of what lay afore, for all that mattered there and then was finding refuge in his den. But before she'd reached the cabin's door, she found herself staring down the bore of a pistol bared by a man, one handsome, lean, and tan. His eyes were cold as they studied her, his aim held firm and steady. "What brings a maiden to my door?" asked he. "Shelter, sir, nothing more." He knew her true. His eyes were wise. He'd seen her kind a million times. "What hunts you, girl, so far from home?" "Men," said she, "I am all alone." O'er meals then much they spake. Her trust he soon earned in kind. When winter came in autumn's wake, a home with him did she find. And so this tale spins on yonder vine. For 12 good years did they entwine, and when love did bloom in air divine, these secret words did they then speak: "I am yours, and you are mine." But all things which come must pass. As autumn leaves, so summer grass. The blade knew this, so quoth he to his wife, "I'll miss you in my eternal life." "Why speak about eternity?" asked she. "Why think you to abandon me?" For thinks she until then that kept he her in his pen. For while her blood was warm, it could indeed prolong a life untouched by greed. "I nay think nor wish as much," said he, "though it be the sad reality. All things that live must die, save one. It is a gift I can share with none." She wept for him and then she took a knee to pray. For if death could make for him one exception, then surely she too could pen a bargain. But a classic tale of hurt and folly this be, so try it all in vain did she. 3 days and nights she cried and hailed, but all attempts at contact failed. Death would not come near, for it knew too much of fear. Of what sorcery did her love impart, eternal youth, breaking her pure heart. She was long-lived, but she was still mortal. She would be carried through death's black portal. She could not follow her love beyond eternity's gate. She could not stand by him at the hub of the wheel of fate. She would not abandon him to that cursed fate, to roam the world alone, to bear eternity's weight, alone, to hunt the wild fields alone for all time, to become a man of stone, a ghost of pallid rhyme. But what choice had she? What choice had he? Their paths were clear, their fates were set, doomed to be ever one, separate. "A curse on my immortality, a pox on life and all," quoth he, with vengeance driving the beat of his heart. "I shall go whene'er you go. We shall not be torn apart." But she wouldn't hear of it. Her love for him ran thus deep. "You will go when your time comes. Think not with me to sleep." But the man was not dissuaded. Until his love was emancipated, from death's noose he would not suffer another night to pass in blissful slumber. A year, a month, a week, and a day flew by, and still no hope did either scry to take from death his fateful prize, until one eve a raven spake to him in thus wise: "See yon kingdom far to the south, a cure for death lies thereabout. Visit you the wizard king, who rules eternal upon my wing." The immortal was wise beyond estimation. He held secrets lost to 100 generations. He knew this world like he knew his bride. He knew its heart and turn. He knew its mind and tides. He knew this spirit for a deceiver. He knew it for a dream weaver. But though his mind warned against the liar, his heart was racked by puerile fire. So took he thence that black bird's wing that carried him to yon castle's king. There he found in a land of stone an old man made of rags and bone. "Greetings, young sir," quoth the king of undying quest. I am many times older than you, said his immortal guest. And yet you are the lost one here, and I your sure-footed guide. Come closer, boy, and let me teach you. Come, step up to my side. You mistake my curiosity for trust, old man. I've seen through you and your plan. Speak, wizard, that I may the sooner be rid of you, and be done with your hollow mansion, if what you say be true. The Grey King nodded in mock lament. You speak from the heart, stranger, but I must repent. I know how to cheat death, that much is true, but to pull one back from the other side, even I cannot do. What nonsense is this? Spat the immortal. I have not died. I have not passed the great portal. You cannot recall that which has not gone, beyond the lip of that blackened yawn. I cannot, quoth the umbral monster once again. Verily, you speak truth. To lie to you I shall not deign, but what thereof your faithful bride? What fate escapes her ken? How could she fare to find you gone from her loving den? You mock my love, shouted the ancient man, all thought of fear forsaken, for the flame his rage did fan. I will kill you if you touch her, the demigod did swear, and for a moment the king's heart shook beneath that deadly stare. I meant you no ill, worried the old king. I meant only my words to test. Then stay your tongue, hissed the amaranthine. I am in no mood for jest. Then let us speak plain, wooed the grey miser. Your life for your love, that is your desire. Now, spoke the man, you at last speak truthfully. Then let me help you, quoth the king in his victory. For hours and hours they spoke at length, all the while they traded strength. For while the king was clever and cruel, the man too was aged and no fool. But time, alas, was not his chum, this day which turned into a chasm, a time so vast as to outweigh what boon he thought to gain. For while they spake, his love grew grave, to find him gone, and did betray her soul into that hounding Nile, void in grief, by death beguiled. So much was shorn upon her rapture, that from afar his heart did capture the fractious loss of pure bond severed. His life alone was his thereafter. What rot is this? Cried the man. What evil trickery have you planned? To which the old king said, Your love was final, her life a sweet thing, by death beguiled. The king, pleased with himself, arose, and in this way spake. A mortal life more time death never gives, but takes. Go mourn her loss, said he of wicked temper. Go see her grave, it is thine alone forever. Many hours of woe, of grief, of pain, of strife, as the raven flew him back to look upon his old life. Naught but ruin and sorrow did he find upon that old hill. Nothing but the vacant house, the vagrant love, the veiled wife. None were left for him now upon or within that desolate soil. Nothing more could he do for her whose life he'd let spoil. Empty now he left it, that corpse of a sand-glass spilled. Broken now, returned to dust, a new cup he must fill. Nothing could he see but fire. Nothing could he feel but cold. Only time could mend a broken heart. Only he could never grow old.